It's Cattails TV. The defense and prosecution just did their closing arguments. And can I just say, this is one of the best cases I've ever seen in my life because it has so many levels to it. There's not only drama going on in the halls with divas of all sexes trying to outdo each other with their blogging posts and who's in line and things like that, but it also shows you that how people handle situations, how they go from 0 to 100, how someone gets shot, how someone goes to jail, how someone gets accused of murder. I'm going to say this straight. People, especially our people, need to learn how to handle their liquor, business, and how they carry themselves in public. You don't always have to get into a fight with people. I just want to say that. But, it's funny because sometimes when you're actually trying to help people take it the wrong way and they feel like you're trying to tell them what to do, and it becomes like they have to insult you in all different kinds of ways because maybe they never had anyone care about them, so they're not used to anyone actually saying, hey, maybe don't argue in the halls of the court. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But again, it has something to do with this case. People don't know how to give each other respect. People don't know you don't sleep with your best friend's boyfriend. People don't know that you shouldn't be carrying firearms when you're drinking. There's just so many layers to this. But also one of the important layers is the LAPD has to do their job. They have to get evidence. They have to test people for gun residue. They have to test people's nails to see if there's any DNA. And also when you come to court, you have to have evidence. That goes for the defense, that goes for the prosecution. Now, the interesting thing about this case is no one can prove the gun is Tory Lanez, okay? No one can prove that that was his gun, that he shot it. There's no clear evidence. There's no evidence that the police took of like where the droplets of blood that came from Megan's foot, how they got out of the car, where she was sitting, where the shooter was sitting, where they outside. There's no diagram of that. There's no photographs. There's nothing except some witnesses' testimony. In regards to like Sean Kelly, one of the witnesses that lived where the alleged gunshots transpired, you got to understand he's a person that's trying to protect his child. It's dark. He may not know which woman is what outside. He may have seen things that he's not sure of. But again, it's not clear, hard evidence. And the rush to judgment on all sides is something that human beings do. But I like evidence. I like photographs. I like hard, like crystal clear. There's nothing in this with this case. I cannot believe like the LAPD, if you see some shenanigans going on and there's like, I don't understand that the police didn't know that her foot those are bullet holes in her foot or gun fragments. Like, how could they not know that? And also, if I was a police officer and I saw something that looked like someone calling and saying, hey, there's a woman being beaten up or there's gunfire or fireworks, I would test for gun residue. I would test for DNA under the fingernails. I would maybe think maybe there's something more going on here. So I really want to be clear about evidence. They didn't do that. But it's interesting. The prosecution keeps saying there's so much evidence that Tory shot Meg, that he bribed people, but there's no evidence that shows that he bribed people. It's just someone's testimony. And the key people that testified, Megan and Kelsey, their story changed. I'm not saying Tory did it. I'm not saying Megan shot herself in the foot. I'm not saying Kelsey shot. But what I'm saying is nobody fucking knows because everyone changed their story and the LAPD didn't do their job. But saying that, this case is one of the best cases I've ever seen. It's interesting to see the defense as well as the prosecution, tell their case. The prosecution did a better job in their closing arguments than they did with the evidence in the case, which is very interesting. They seem more crystal clear in the roundup than they do interviewing people as well as presenting the evidence. But again, they're using the emotional side of it. The other flaw they did in the closing arguments, they were like, well, Megan would have to be a mastermind and a psychopath to blame Tory. Hello? There are a lot of psychopaths and alcoholics and drug addicts and crazy people everywhere. And like, I think it's 1 in 10 people are probably psychopaths. So nothing surprises me about human nature. But all I'm saying is there is no evidence that he shot the gun. This case is crazy because it's all he said, she said, except Tory didn't talk. But what I'm trying to say is no one knows who shot what, when, where. They didn't, like, if I was an attorney for this, I would have taken a car similar to the car that was involved. I would have had diagrams showing where the gunfire supposedly hit, or trying to make sense of how Megan got shot, because Megan said she was shot through the window and that Tory stood up on the car to shoot through. It may or may not have happened, but I would have tried to prove that without a reasonable shadow of a doubt with pictures, diagrams, and maybe a reenactment. But these people don't seem to know what the fuck they're doing, seriously. But there's someone's life involved here, and that's what scares me. It's not just about Tory. I'm saying if LAPD does shitty work on most cases, people who don't have money to defend themselves are going to go to jail. So we need the cops to do their due diligence every time there is a crime. If someone looks like there's been a fight, get DNA evidence off the hands, check for guns, shot wounds. I mean, they found the gun in the car. The woman's foot's bleeding. Even though she lied, if you really care about domestic abuse, check to see if she was shot. I just don't understand. I don't understand. They're believing Megan, which is fine, but you have to have evidence that the person shot the other person. And the prosecution is trying to say, oh, this isn't about sex. This isn't about Megan's sex life. Excuse me. Megan allegedly was jealous that Tory was flirting with Kylie. They were drinking all day. They go into the car. She left with somebody else. She switched to Tory's car, and she had EJ, her assistant, bring her bags to Tory's car. She went back, said she left her slippers, and Kylie allegedly threw Megan out of the party. But yet this story has nothing to do with Tory and Megan and Kelsey having a relationship with Tory. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, this is crazy because, like I said, a lack of real evidence, but a lot of circumstantial evidence. But as an entertainment, the defense was on fire. And it's interesting because the prosecution, they keep talking about Megan's emotions, but they don't talk about facts, like hardcore facts. And Sean Kelly, the witness, his testimony was all over the place, which is logical because he's worried about his child and this gunfire. He may have not seen everything clearly, but I'm shocked that there's no fucking video evidence of any of this stuff, because most wealthy people have cameras in their neighborhood just to make sure in case there's a robbery, there's footage. So I don't understand. A lot of people seem to drop the ball, but you can't just say someone shot someone without hardcore evidence, especially when the LAPD didn't do the investigation properly and one woman's story changes. I don't necessarily believe that Megan would try to protect Tory. Why should she? Why would she? If a guy shot me, I'd fucking either shoot him or tell the truth that he shot me. So again, this story doesn't have evidence, hardcore evidence. It says a couple of people with stories that change. So it's very strange. So that's where I'm sticking with. Anyway, I gotta go. This is Cat Tails TV. Bye.